What's going on YouTube? Sean here, and welcome to another edition of After the Movie, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about The Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs Shaw. That's right, the first official spin-off film of the Fast and Furious franchise, which began all the way back in 2001. Then we had Too Fast, Too Furious, and then we had Tokyo Drift. Well, I guess you could kind of argue Tokyo Drift's kind of a spin-off because, well, Dom Toretto does show up, and Han becomes a factor later on, and whatever. Then we had Fast and Furious. Wait, but the first one's The Fast and the Furious. Oh, but we took out the twice, and then that's our fourth movie. But then again, and then we go to Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, and The Fate of the Furious. What the titles of this franchise are just so kind of all over the place. It's nothing consistent. And now we have Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. If you would have told me, what, like 18 years ago when the first Fast and Furious movie came out, that I'd be watching a spin-off film of the franchise that involves super soldier serums and The Rock going toe-to-toe with, I guess Jason Statham wasn't a factor, like against a super soldier with all these different things, and it's a spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise, I would have said you were out of your goddamn mind. But alas, here we are today. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. And yes, I'm going to say it because that title is so goddamn tedious because people can't apparently figure out it's a spin-off movie. But, yes. So, Fast and Furious. What the hell happened with this franchise? I think it's just amazing how it just started out with them stealing Panasonic DVD players and that in 2001 to, like, this heist franchise to just... It just got so out of control, ridiculous. But, in a way, I feel like the turning point of this franchise was Fast 5, and that's when they brought The Rock in. And ever since then, I've enjoyed all the movies. Like, the first four of the franchise, not entirely for me. I guess the most tolerable is the first one, but I hate Too Fast, Too Furious. I think it sucks. Tokyo Drift has some nice racing, but that's about it. Fast and Furious, the fourth one, is pretty forgettable. But Fast 5, that's when the series transitioned to this more ridiculous series. But Fast 5 is arguably the best one, simply for The Rock coming in there and just being this pure badass that he is. Then, obviously we had Fast and Furious 6, which was entertaining. And then we had Furious 7, which, in all honesty, should have probably been the end of the franchise, but they kept going. Obviously, Paul Walker passed away at this point in the franchise, and Paul Walker and the heart of the franchise has always been Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. But Paul Walker had probably one of the best send-offs for any character I've ever seen in a movie. In terms of the way they ended this film, I think it was a nice, touching tribute to Paul Walker. Obviously, it happened during the middle of production, and a lot of stuff had to happen, and they had to, like, push the movie back a year. But the ending of Fast and Furious 7 is one of the best endings to any movie I've ever seen. I know, it's kind of crazy coming from a Fast and Furious movie. You wouldn't expect that, but the ending to this one, it was so touching and very emotional that I really appreciated what we did with that one. And then we had, did this one come out last year? Yeah, then we had The Fate of the Furious with Vin Diesel and The Rock. And the best thing about this entire movie was The Rock and Jason Statham and their banter and that entire prison sequence. I laughed so hard, but it was so amazingly stupid. And now we have the spinoff. And in all honesty, you know what you're getting into. Like, the spinoff is exactly what it promises. Over-the-top, ridiculous, unrealistic action sequences, The Rock and Jason Statham giving each other shit for the entire movie, an over-the-top villain played by Idris Elba, and Idris Elba is great in pretty much everything he's in. I'm, like, a huge fan of Idris Elba. Vanessa Kirby, who what was she? I think she was in one of the Mission Impossible movies, but I don't really remember her from that one. But she really stands out in this one, too. She's great. And then we have a couple of celebrity cameos, and it is a fun time. It is a bit long, though. I feel like the third act for this movie definitely dragged on way more than it really should have. I think if you cut out about maybe, like, if you condense this movie down like 20 minutes sooner, I think it would have really, like, been better. But we're here, and this is the movie you get. So let's talk about, I guess, the plot of this movie. Idris Elba is this jacked up super soldier now. He's got like a metal spine in his back because some evil organization, I guess, is going to play a factor in later on in the franchise. I'm sure they're going to, it's not, I don't know if it has anything to do with Cypher, Charlize Theron's character from the Fate of the Furious, but now we have little like an evil organization, like almost like a specter of sorts. Maybe that's going to all tie into Fast and Furious 9 or 10. I have absolutely no clue, but they want to upgrade the human race, and they started with this character named Brixton, played by Idris Elba, and he's after this virus that's supposed to wipe out all of humanity. And Vanessa Kirby's character is holding onto it, but it's got in these little capsules that's in her body, and it basically melts her and on the insides, and then like it'll spread through the air and some shit like that. I don't fucking know, but they got to save her. And turns out she is the sister of Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham's character. And they're after, The Rock is after her, Jason Statham's after her, and then they're forced to kind of work together. And these two are just getting on each other's nerves and just talking shit the entire time. And I was laughing and having such a good time and how stupid this movie was. Idris Elba knows exactly what type of movie he is in. And even like the first, he's like, bad guy. And he comes in there and he's just doing his badass stuff. And he's just being Idris Elba. He's having a good time. He calls himself Black Superman. And he's like, look at me, I'm Black Superman. And I'm like, oh God, this guy's great. This guy's great. Rock's great. Statham's great. I'm a big fan of Rock. I'm a big fan of Statham. They always make movies better. They're the best part of the Fate of the Furious by far. But they're just kind of playing themselves. And there are things that like kind of irritate me about this movie. For one thing, when you get to the third act. Now, in the third act, in the trailers, they show that The Rock goes to his home in Samoa. The final battle, like, it starts out kind of at nighttime, and it's like pitch black at night, and this is something that irks me. It's pitch black at night, and all of a sudden, The Rock's doing this haka dance or whatever, and then it's like literally after the first explosion, it's bright and sunny day. I'm like, how fast does the sun move here? And like, there's like a ticking clock element because they have to get this virus out of Vanessa Kirby's character. But it's like, it only shows that like 5 minutes have passed during the sequence. I'm like, why is it bright and sunny? Like, there's no like indication that it was like sunrise. It's like barely any time passed and it's already bright and sunny. I'm like, how fast does like the sun rise here? I don't know. I've never been to Samoa, but it just kind of like, it got kind of ridiculous. There are some nice cameos, like I mentioned earlier. The first one like really cracked me up because they are a famous actor. And then there's one when they're on the plane. Great cameo. Especially like my favorite scene might be in the whole movie, and The Rock and Statham are on the plane just like talking to each other. And then this other cameo shows up. I thought that was great. If you watch some of my videos on my channel, Daniel Bernhardt even shows up in the movie. I saw him like in there at least for a little bit. He doesn't really have much to do. He just kind of fights Statham. But it was cool to see him. So, yeah. What else can I say about this movie? I am disappointed, though, that Luke Evans isn't even in the movie. He's not even mentioned. Like, because Helen Mirren's in it too, but I'm like, you're missing the other Shaw. Where's Owen Shaw? Where is he? He's not even a factor within the movie at all. They don't mention him at all. It's almost like it almost feels like they kind of retconned him out of the movie. But they should have brought him in. There should have been a mention of the other Shaw brother, especially with Vanessa Kirby's character being the sister of both the Shaw brothers. She's the younger sister. It's like, it almost seems like it was just her and Statham. They never mentioned their other brother. They only mentioned their mom. I think a simple cameo from Luke Evans would have helped this movie. It would have benefited from it. I understand. I guess they don't want to screw up that little dynamic they have, but he should have at least cameoed in it, or you should have fucking mentioned him. Like, it would have been good to him to like show up towards the end of the movie or something. But of course they don't do it. Unless he's somewhere else. I don't know. He probably maybe just wants a break for everything. Or maybe he's going to be in the next Fast and Furious movie. I don't know. They're filming 9 right now. Or would it technically be 10 because of the spinoffs? But yeah, so that kind of irritated me. Like I said, the third act goes on just a wee bit too long. There is some new supervillain kind of brewing in the background that we don't exactly find out who they are. But their voice sounded kind of familiar. I'm like, is that... I almost thought their voice, like, because they're kind of like, there's like a modulated voice that's just like, I am so-and-so, blah, 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 like that Idris Elba's character, Brixton, is kind of working for. I guess they're known as, what, the director or something? Part of me thinks they're voiced by John Cena, and because I know John Cena's in Fast and Furious 9, but I almost have this feeling that, like, this evil organization, like, he might be the big bad of it. I don't know why, just the voice kind of sounded like, it was modulated a bit, but I thought I heard John Cena's voice. But I could be wrong. And yeah, so I thought all the 3 leads, like the 3 leads in Idris Elba, those 4 are what you pay to see for this movie. And they more than deliver it. It is a funny movie. It's got some great action sequences. it overstays its welcome a bit too much. I have some issues with kind of like the last act and the fact that they don't include one of the Shaw brothers, which I thought was a disappointment. But overall consensus, you get what you pay for with this movie. Yeah, it feels a bit long, but overall, it knows it's stupid. It knows it's ridiculous. It takes its premise to the fullest. And I wouldn't mind seeing more with this duo, because The Rock and Statham have such strong chemistry. And Vanessa Kirby, too. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with her, but she really stood out in this movie, too. She really impressed me. She should get her own little action franchise, too, because she really stood out. And I've heard rumors that she's going to be the next Catwoman. I'm like, okay, this is your audition. You've impressed me. Just, change your hair color, dye your hair like a darker hair color, cut it short. And she's definitely got the eyes for it. She can do the action. She's got the personality for it. I'm for it. If she wants to be Catwoman in Matt Reeves' new Batman movie, go for it. I think she would do a good job. So, I don't know where they're going to go from here with this series. Are they going to do some more spinoffs? I don't know. I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. Or maybe it all comes and ties back together. Because I know they're doing Fast and Furious 9. I think 10 is supposed to be the end of this franchise. But Universal makes a shit ton of money off these movies. We may be seeing more Hobbs and Shaw movies in the future. But, yeah, so that was Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Like I said, I don't know where I'd rank it amongst the franchise. I know when I rewatched last year, when I did an after the movie on Fast and Furious, The Fate of the Furious, I was like, this might have been my favorite because it just got so dumb and ridiculous. Upon rewatching it, it doesn't hold up quite as well. I don't even know what my favorite of this franchise is. Really 5 onward, I think, is, you kind of going through there, you'd find the best one. Fast 5 and Fast 6, they're kind of neck and neck for me in a way, but Fast 5 has The Rock going after Vin Diesel, and I think Fast 5 may be overall the strongest still. But Furious 7 had the great ending, and Fate of the Furious just kind of is where it just got even more ridiculous, and I had a lot of fun. It had my favorite sequence was the prison sequence in the series. But then again, you have this one where it's just The Rock and Statham. Part of me, in a way, kind of misses, the other Fast characters, but I still, Rock and Statham were, to me, the strongest characters of this franchise alongside Vin Diesel. But, I mean, but this is a very tonally different movie from the other Fast and Furious movies. But it's still a lot of fun, and it's still really stupid. But if you're not into this type of movie, this isn't going to exactly win you over. But for me personally, it gave me exactly what I was looking for, and I had a good time with it. So, have you seen Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments section down below. We'll chat about it. We'll talk about it some more. Hit that bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned because I got more videos planned, more after the movies, more written reviews. I got a vlog series that I've been working on that's going to be posted as well, starting maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I haven't quite figured it out, but at least by tomorrow I will start posting it, maybe 2 videos a day in a setting. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you all so much for watching this. I'll see you all next time. Take care now. Bye-bye then. Let me know what you thought of Hobbs and Shaw in the comments below. And I guess we'll be back next year when we talk about Fast and Furious 9, whatever the hell they title it. What are they going to title it now? Fast, Fine and the Furious? Because 9, Fine and 9. I don't know. It's going to be something ridiculous, I'm sure. So, Fast and Furious 9, Jesus. How do we go from this to this? It just blows my mind how it just went from just stealing this to now we're saving the world against super soldiers, and it is really funny when you think about it where it's all come. But yeah, all right, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you all so much for watching. I shall see you all next time.